Evening, peeps. So earlier on today, I was talking to somebody. Somebody joked about the in my last set of reels. I said something about they're going to send a strike team out to get me, right? Because I'm stepping too close to where they don't want people to be treading. It was half a joke, you know how it is. And we went back and forth a bit. And then I said to him, you know what the funny thing is about all of this, right? I said, it's not like I'm stealing state secrets, right? Or I've not touched anybody else's personal information, have I? Right? This is all purely from my head, right? And I said, it's purely common sense. Everything, all of this is common sense, right? And he says, well, why would they be after you if it's just purely common sense and it's knowledge that's available to everyone? I said, look, I'm not saying it literally, but what I'm saying is they wouldn't want people to think like me, would they? Now, how many times do I say, this is just common sense, this is just common sense, this is just common sense? And so many of you go, no, it isn't, stop saying it. You don't know what you're talking about, common sense. I don't know what I'm talking about, common sense and logic. What do I always say? Don't ever underestimate common sense and logic. And this is what I mean. Everybody has this information. How much does Pyramid Giza weigh? 6.5 billion tons. You'll get different numbers. Between 6 and 7. I go for 6.5 million tons. Right? Everybody has this information. Everybody. You could just boom. Google. Boom. How much does Giza weigh? Boom. 6.5 million tons. That's it. Now, how long does it take to work out that the Egyptians did not build the pyramids after knowing that Giza alone weighs 6.5 million tons? I'll tell you how long it takes me. A second, right? But here I am going back and forth with people. You know the info. I've gone over this how many times, but there are still people who will be fighting this thing, right? Now, why is that? I'll tell you why it is. Because you've been put into these positions and you've believed so many absurdities that you no longer trust your own judgment. I have 100% faith in my judgment. It hasn't let me down yet. It did actually with the lasers and Simon Dan, but that was just a lapse of concentration, right? I trust my own judgment. My logic and common sense skills are like scalpels. It takes me 2 seconds. It does not matter what we're talking about. You throw 3 or 4 facts in front of me and I can tell you different scenarios of what you want to know in seconds few, because my mind just goes dum 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 dum. You don't need that can't be, those two can. This is what I mean. For me, that's common sense and logic, right? I would not trade my common sense and logic in for all of the physics books that are on this planet, right? Because my common sense and logic tells me, no, you don't need to go anywhere near those physics books, right? Now, this was about why would they be after you if all of this knowledge is public? It's not that they're after me. But when you know how to process information like I can process information, it's not really something that they would want everybody doing, because it's obvious, because, isn't it? Straight away, nobody would turn up for Egyptology, would they? Right? Because it's horseradish. So this is all I was saying, right? Everybody does have the information, but some people, you don't know what to do with the information, do you? Because you do not know how to trust your own judgment. If you knew how to trust your own judgment, you'd be able to look at this picture right here, Pyramid Giza in the background. You know it weighs 6.5 million tons. The game's over. You shift that weight over to Nimitz class aircraft carriers, and from there, you should be able to look at what 65 Nimitz class aircraft carriers are, and be able to work it out in a matter of seconds. 65 of those. Are you telling me people still somehow believe that the Egyptians carved 65 of those out of some quarry or some quarries with copper hand tools. Because if you do, you really do have a lot of trouble with your facts and your common sense and the way you think logic is, or the way you deal with logic. Because again, knowing that Pyramid Giza weighs 65 of those, it is instantly a shut door. Unless, of course, no, it's a shut door. It's physically impossible, right? Now, I trust my own judgment. I haven't had my head battered around with absurdities. I haven't let any absurdities in. I therefore do believe that common sense is the ability to be able to differentiate between what's real and what isn't, and the ability to be able to differentiate between what's possible and what isn't. My common sense has not been compromised. I trust my own judgment. That's why I say the things that I do. So when I say something is common sense, this is what I mean. For me, this is purely about common sense. It isn't complicated at all. It should take nobody any longer than just a few seconds after knowing what Pyramid Giza weighs. And when you know what the 3 pyramids weigh, which is 13.5 million tons, you can in your head go, dum, 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 100,000. That's 135 of those things, including the aircraft. How on earth did you... Look, I can't even believe we're still here. It's only because of what a few people, not as many as usual, but a couple of people have gone back and forth with it, and I've gone back and forth with them. And I can still see that obviously there will be people still having trouble with this. The only reason you are is because you do not trust your own judgment, right? So that is the difference between us. I do trust my own judgment. Why wouldn't I? That's why you all think I'm a nutcase, because I see things for what they are, and you believe the absurdities. All right, peeps, call that now. If you do still think the Egyptians, even if you do think that what you're looking at there is only 4,500 years old, then do you know what I'm saying? But there's not much anybody can do about that. Anyway, that's why I say things are common sense, and the way I see logic for both of them as tools. Nothing comes close to them because it's instant. All right, peeps and pipettes. Buenas noches. Catch you later. Bye. Oh, one thing, guys. If you start to see my views dropping, it's not me that's posted less, right? It's because I could be treading where they don't want people to tread, and they probably don't want everybody thinking like this. So you know where I'm at. If this happens, this goes on to Rumble first. Indigo, capital C1. Only if you're interested. If you're not, and you want to stick with absurdities, everybody's got a choice. Later, peeps.